Hey guys, and welcome back to Battle Network 6.
I don't know if this is like a standard thing that happens to like Japanese youth, but at least in anime, which is probably a realistic representation of Japan, it's always small boys that have problems with waking up in time to go to school, and they're always running out the door with pieces of toast in their mouth because they couldn't be bothered to get up at a proper time. Do they have to let their moms do it for them? Because here in America, last I checked, if your ass isn't on the bus, then you're gonna get a fucking drive to school because we ain't coming back for you.
Yeah, you can jack into the internet all you want, but it's not gonna make you any more, on time for your lesson.
Then again, it seems to be more popular in Japan where everybody walks to school. So I guess they have to, I don't know, but if I was walking to school when I was back in school, I'd have to get up at like fucking 5, because I was going to some faraway schools, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, you journey to the mountaintops to prepare yourself for a life of Let's Playing.
Yeah, 10 miles in the snow, barefoot every day, that's just how we liked it.
We'll be visiting that Astalan shop. It doesn't actually open for quite a bit yet.
Yeah, one of the recurring features of Battle Network, the games, are the chip shop you can actually visit. In the first game, well, actually, that's a really involved story, so I can't really tell that right now.
Ooh, things are getting spicy.
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, this is a new school. Something naturally bad has to happen right away.
If something doesn't cause me an anxiety attack the second I set foot through those front gates, personally I think it's failed as a facility of education.
I have to say, it is pretty nice of a school to give work to punch-out robots, because, they need stuff to do.
How in any way, shape, or form? Okay, well, I suppose it does look like they're wearing boxing gloves.
Yeah, there you go. And by the way, aren't they supposed to mail you, the paperwork ahead of time before you come to school on the first day? Like, the ID? You have to send them, records of your health or things like that?
Well, it's not exactly the Hogwarts universe. We don't get an owl delivering our letter and whatnot.
Yeah, you would think you'd get all those records electronically. Send your Navi in. Alright, here's the, last health checkup I had, things like that. This should have been handled already.
Okay, they're backing off. Stuff is happening.
One of them is led by a human who has risen up from the ranks in order to lead this new rebellion.
Yeah.
Well, not as much as Guts' man. He's like an entire man made out of guts, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. Actually, you know what? Everybody is made out of guts, now that I think about it.
Yeah, but when your ass is shown bare to the public, you don't have a little, bit of stinging music.
Oh, that's true. I mean, that is some pretty good press for your own ass.
So not only are you, too busy to introduce a student to the ways of this new school, you're also lazy and you send a robot to do your work for you.
Well, they were lazy enough to not give us our proper documentation, so I'm only gonna assume the worst, personally. Okay, you probably aren't. I mean, you think you are, and that's probably what you say to yourself in the mirror every day, but you really have to look through it through the eyes of other people.
I am the energetic teacher, and I'm wearing a red tracksuit, not green. We made that mistake too many times already.
That sounds eerily specific, Tom. I could have sworn you've played this before.
Nah, it's fine. What data is that monitor even showing?
It's like... Well, I don't know, because the text box is in front of it.
Damn you, Capcom.
Yeah, this is definitely Chekhov's gun being set up. This is going to be very important down the line, actually, and we'll be introduced to it later in this part, but it actually sort of creates a core of, some important things that happen later on in the story, especially revolving around a particular character or two.
It's basically a mechanic that comes into its own, is what Tangent Man over there was trying to say.
Something like that, yeah. Is that going to be my Robot Master name, Tangent Man?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I think I'd rather be, I don't know, I need a really cool Mega Man Robot Master name.
Well, you already have Dragon Man.
Well, that's true. That's technically the Robot Master I came up with, copyright me, and nobody else can take it. So, that guy has tenure. Because I've been using him for years for any sort of Mega Man thing I've had to come up with.
I would probably go with Repeat Man myself.
Repeat Man? Well, there is a Video Man, in Mega Man Battle Network 3, or no, it was 4. Yeah, he was in Mega Man Battle Network 4. I know he showed up in the anime, and we'll definitely have to talk about the anime. But I would think Video Man would be more your style, considering how often you have to rewind and do things all over again.
Oh, was that his net Navi power then?
Yeah, he could, like, pause and rewind and edit stuff and things like that.
I said shenanigans in that particular Battle Network game.
Yeah, Battle Network 4 has a lot of shenanigans. You actually have to clear that game about 3 times in order to do everything. And each time you unlock new scenarios sometimes. Sometimes you actually repeat scenarios because the game is so poorly set up. You know, I could go into a long diatribe about how that worked out.
What was the deal with that guy, that kid with a bucket of water on his head?
That's like another Japanese thing they do, supposedly. Like, if you get in trouble, they make you stand outside with a bucket on your head. Now, one time, you know, I thought that kid was in trouble, but actually he was stopping a leak that was in the roof, so he's just being really helpful.
Wow, these kids are multi-purpose. Not only do they come here to learn, they can also, like, prevent leaks.
Well, that's true, because the budget doesn't extend to having a janitor, of course.
I can't wait to fuck up in front of everyone on my first day. How did you get ahead of me when I left you in the teacher's room?
Let's say Mr. Mock has a few secrets of his own.
I already don't like that guy.
Yeah, I had a feeling that you would not like him. He is suspicious to me as well, of course. It must be the hair. He has my hair. My hair just kind of falls over my head in sort of a shitty bowl shape. And only every few months do I actually get it trimmed. I need a haircut soon, actually. Like, let's time this a little bit in that I actually am going to get a haircut fairly soon.
Well, until you get that little do of yours, I'm going to put a timer in every Let's Play part, just counting down.
Like, I have to say, considering we've spent so long with Lan's friends from the previous games, you know, some people have found them annoying, I think. If you read, like, the Let's Plays on the LP archive, especially of, like, Star Force and things like that, they would say they were actually pretty annoying, but I don't really believe that. Like, I think the most annoying friends in terms of Mega Man side RPGs, nobody from Battle Network. Mick here's kind of a shit. I actually think the main character's friends in Mega Man Star Force, of which I'll also have to talk more in detail from what little I know about it, I think those guys are probably the worst friends of them all. Especially the class president, who I fucking hate, personally, but that's a story for another time.
But everyone gets a computer. This class is amazing.
That's true. I mean, usually you have to wait until you get to college to do something like that, where they let you have a computer and take notes. Click, 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 click. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, is this just gonna be like Persona? Yeah, there we go, it's already break time. You go to school, very rarely you will have actual lessons, but mostly just skips over it.
How do you forget to bring your Navi? It's kind of integrated in society. You sort of need your Navi for everything. Like, in Battle Network, they even use net navis for, like, basic virus busting. And, you know, these days, in the real world where things aren't nearly as fun, we have programs that you can download for free, or quote-unquote free, to take care of that for you. Actually, in Star Force, what happens is that after a while, NetNavi's use, it takes place like 200 years or so after Battle Network, a long time. And what happens is that NetNavis actually fall out of favor because they just start using them for very kind of mundane things. They sort of automate a lot of what they were able to do on their own. And that bums me personally because like I said, I'm a huge fan of the idea of NetNavis, and there's them just kind of falling out of favor and replaced with what honestly I thought were shitty looking designs in Mega Man Star Force. It rubbed me the wrong way for so long, I gotta say.
Okay, let's get this out of the way. What is Mega Man Star Force?
Mega Man Star Force is like basically sort of a weird sequel that takes place after the events of Battle Network. Like I said, way in the future, things are different. mostly, like, a lot of the stuff we see here in Battle Network is more standardized, more streamlined. It reflects more of current technology, where things like radio waves and transmitting data across that becomes more important. Very, very short, the basic plot of the first game is that there's a guy named Geostellar. He gets in contact with, like, a radio alien from planet FM. Yeah, I want to see if there's a planet NPR, by the way. He gets in contact with an alien from that. I gotta bring up the wiki just to make absolutely sure I'm correct, but I know they work together to against other radio-based aliens.
Okay.
And when they combine together, this is a very Henshin-driven series, they combine together, they form the quote-unquote Mega Man of that series, and they actually streamline and simplify a lot of the Battle Network mechanics. I haven't played Star Force. I hear the third one is actually really good, but my first knee-jerk reaction when I saw Star Force was like, get away, this is not my Battle Network, because they changed so much. And I was just, like, super defensive about that kind of thing, I gotta admit.
It would, like, a close comparison be like me enjoying Banjo-Kazooie and Tooie, and then Nuts and Bolts comes along.
Yeah, something like that, except at least Star Force kind of tried to resemble Battle Network a little bit. Nuts and Bolts is like a completely different beast altogether, you know?
Can you spot the protagonist's net, Navi?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look in this color coordination here. Look, they're all color coordinated except the two obvious stickouts in the corner here. Of course you know that's mixed net Navi because it has angry eyes all the time.
Why doesn't, like, this net Navi have a movable mouth? It kind of irks me.
That's true. They make a big deal out of everybody having these customizable net navis. I believe in the anime, at least in the dub, they said, oh, well, a customizable net navi is more expensive. It's like if you're buying an iPhone instead of a Samsung phone, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so a lot of people tend to run these really generic-looking and sometimes stupid-looking net navis, where apparently you need more money and more time and more customization to actually sort of make your own with your own design, you know what I'm saying?
Whoa, that's not a Meteor at all.
Yeah, unless that Meteor has been working out on the side. I mean, look at that thing. I love this guy, how he just kind of bolds particular text. He's like, not good! I gotta stop this, you know, with his enunciation.
Let's do this. I could take down some, like, pissy oven.
I mean, see, it's not too bad. What I always thought it was interesting, how the game focuses so much on HP that everybody has their own little HP thing, and it kind of replaces the traditional bars, you know, when it comes to Mega Man in terms of health. This is especially true of the bosses, so you'll be dealing with guys that have like 2,000, 5,000. I think the highest HP I've seen is like, I want to say like 5,000, 6,000, because they can get some really goofy numbers, unless of course your folder is super optimized, as I've said before.
That sounds like a lot, but like, I would say I'm up to about like part 12 in terms of footage recording at this point, and I took down like one of the bosses that had like 500-600 HP in about a minute or two.
If you know what you're doing properly, and a lot of it when you're fighting like net navis, it's still very heavily based on pattern recognition. Like if you're playing classic Mega Man and you understand how a boss's patterns work, you know, you'll be able to beat him. Here, I think you not only do that, but you're actually a lot more lenient. Because you have healing options, you have the grid that you're working around, things like that. You can dodge to the side and stuff like that. So I feel like if you understand it, it does get easier. But, you know, later versions, they introduce more attacks, more HP. They're often faster, things like that. You got the secret bosses you have to deal with, you know, down the line, especially when you're trying to 100%. By the way, I'll just say this off the top of my head. I did not ask Tom to 100% this game, because usually when you have to 100% a Battle Network game, that involves stuff like finding all the areas, collecting all the battle chips, which is a tedious task that I'm not going to ask him to do, fighting some of the secret bosses, and in this game in particular, they cut out so much stuff that some of the secret bosses are actually not available, and I don't think, I'm trying to remember the exact specifics, so I'm going to look at this again really fast, but I think they actually introduced alternative methods to 100% this game because so much was cut out from the Japanese version. a huge chunk of that basically revolving around content from a game called Bodkai, The Sun is in Your Hand. You ever play that?
Oh yeah, that's the one with the little sun sensor.
Yeah. Basically what happened at the time is that this game crossed over with that in terms of content near the end, but because Bodkai was not selling so well in the US, Konami decided to not translate the third one. And as a result, Capcom cut out a lot of the stuff, that crossed over with that in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, there's like some weird roundabout kind of ways to actually 100% this game. There's some stuff that I believe in the original version you cannot straight up access, period. Like actually in like the virtual console versions, they give you certain stuff in order to be able to 100% it because of the fact that you're not able to access this content normally. It's mostly like a Bodkai themed side quest, and you actually fight a Bodkai boss. Like Count Hakushuku, I think his name is.
Bless you.
Yeah, Gesundheit, thank you. Just some weird stuff all around, but I mean, like, they cut, like, a lot of stuff from Battle Network surprisingly often. So when you're learning about this on the side after people go in, and this was back when it was really easy to kind of get your hands on, ROMs, because this was still cartridge-based. So they're going in, they're looking at shit, and they're finding out what they're missing, and I believe there are patches and translations to restore that content, things like that. So, look at it if you're interested. Long
story short, as much as I would like to, we aren't going to be covering the post-game because that's just too much for me as like a newbie to the series. I apologise, but we did say we were going to run at least one Battle Network game. We never said how we were going to run it.
Oh yeah, I trust this guy, definitely. Blastman is not in Robot Master, by the way. They do take a lot of Robot Masters and characters from the original series, obviously, and they ported it over to the Battle Network series. But there are some new original ones. Blastman here has never had an original Robot Master form. Yeah. And you'll see that in some other net navis, especially the custom-made net navis. Although I do like how some net navis show up that you would never expect normally. Like, they kind of really dig deep into some of the Mega Man lore in order to bring, like, different net navis into it. Like, there's a guy called Mr. Famous, and his gimmick is that he's famous, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah. Mr. Nobody, okay. No, that's Xehanort, I'm sorry. So, he keeps changing net navis with each game. And most of the time, these are the contest winner net navis.
Okay,
but
makes
he has
sense.
used, like, Punk? That Robot Master? From, like, one of the Game Boy games, I think. Like, they actually have a net navi version of him, and he actually looks really cool, I gotta say. And they didn't grab all the content from Mega Man beforehand. Like, you won't see, like, Quint EXE. Like, there's no Pogo Man going around here. But they kind of crop a bit here and there, but they also introduce some new stuff. But mostly it's going to be, a recollection of all the stuff you've seen from classic Mega Man, reimagined in a whole new way. They don't get everything. But Tengu Man is in this game. And that's what I was waiting for when they announced this game. I said, please let there be Tengu Man. Please let there be Tengu Man. Yes, Tengu Man's in it. Yes, he's in Falzers, though. We will not be encountering him in this version. Well, each version obviously has their own net navis. I guess after they kind of caught on to the Pokemon bandwagon after a while. And starting at Battle Network 3, they had different versions. Like Blue and White, Red Sun, Blue Moon. Yes, that was Battle Network 4, and yes, it does allude back to Pokemon here. Team Proto Man, Team Colonel in this game, obviously, Gregar, Cybeast Gregar, and Cybeast Falzer. And we'll be meeting them soon enough, and we can actually find out more about them. But I'm going to end this sentence, because it's been going on far too long.
Jesus Christ, man. Do you want me to just tell you to shut up when you feel like you're going on too long?
You may have to, I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's not often you get a chance to just splurge on the stuff that you like, so I just don't like being rude, and also it means I have to talk a lot less if I just let you go on.
That's fine, but I'm trying to get some form of coherence in this playthrough. Like I said, if you have any questions, if there's anything you want me to talk more about, please direct me so I know what I'm doing.
So here we go. This is a copy bot. It will allow a NetNavi to transfer itself into it and interact with people in the real world. But there are a few rules. Obviously, I don't think it can hurt anyone. It'll have the strength of just like a regular human adult, and hopefully it doesn't have the power to overthrow governments.
It has an extremely limited battery life too. So there are actually sequences where you'll kind of have to do it within the battery's time span. But this moment is really important because this is the first time LAN has seen Hub in some form of physical format, you know, and not like a physical floppy, like an actual physical,
Yeah.
you know, person. So this thing, I feel this moment, especially in this game, they carry a lot of neat little story moments that kind of flesh things out for that final time. And I think this in particular, the fact that they're actually meeting physically for the first time ever since learning that they were
it's
brothers.
deep, it's lovely. That's all you needed to say.
Thank you, just tell me to shut up.
Oh, LAN. Oh, hub/megaman.exe. Oh, Mr. Mac over there in your red tracksuit that's definitely red. Okay, guys, that'll do it for this installment of TangentMan.exe Cybeast Gregar edition. We'll see you next time for another couple of Battle Network 6 episodes. Bye for now.